Evening and happy Halloween. All right, good evening, everyone. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site dedicated to legacy death and taxes, and that is indeed what we are going to be playing tonight. So happy Halloween, everyone. I hope I'm giving you something fun to do while the trick-or-treaters come up to your door and pilfer all of your candy. Hopefully you've saved a little bit for yourself, because there probably won't be a ton left at the end of tonight. Tonight's donation deck list is brought to you by Dr. Bill, who wanted to see some D&T with Cataclysm right before Eternal Weekend. I think he's currently on a plane heading in the direction of Eternal Weekend, and he said, you know, I'm going to watch this deck list in the morning before I go and start playing. So what are we looking at here? The main deck is the same main deck that I've been playing for a little while. There's a Walking Ballista and a Batter Skull off screen here that didn't quite make it. I've liked Walking Ballista as a main deck flex slot. It's performed pretty well for me. I'm not sure whether or not it's correct to actually play a second one in the sideboard, but I've kind of liked it. The Hallowed Spirit Keeper has also overperformed currently as well. It's amazing against Grixis and other black decks, generally speaking. It's a little lackluster versus Miracles, though, but every once in a while it does something cool there, like they Supreme Verdict and you Violet in and ruin their life. So there's that. The sideboard of this list is a little bit experimental, so I'm trying to hedge a little bit. I don't love the like zero graveyard hate plan now that Dredge is really picking up steam. And at the same time, I don't really want to dedicate too much of my sideboard to combo, because like outside of Dredge, most of the metagame right now is super, super fair. So I'm playing a Walking Ballista as another surgical extraction, if that makes sense. So like I'm playing this because it can get rid of bridges while also having great utility elsewhere. Like you play Walking Ballista for 0 and it's just like, all right, we nuke the bridges. So the idea is that between the two Walking Ballistas, the two surgical extractions, I have 4 easy ways to take bridges out of the graveyard. And then I needed to have 1 piece of tutorable graveyard hate off of Recruiter of the Guard, and I decided that Containment Priest might be better than Fairy. Like, Fairy's definitely better against Red-Black Reanimator, but if Dredge is the graveyard deck to beat, then like cards like Containment Priest hit really, really hard. So we're going to run this through a league and see how it goes. Again, thanks to Dr. Bill for funding this league. And for those of you who stick around for the whole stream, at the end of the final round, I'm going to be doing a giveaway. So I'm doing all of these donation deck lists, and the next one's on me. So at the end of the night, I will choose one person at chat at random using the giveaway command, and you will get a donation deck list without having to pay for it. So you get to go and pick a deck that you want to see on stream, and I'll stream it. Yeah, Skelebro in the background here is joining me for the stream tonight. He usually hangs out in the living room, but he wanted to play some Magic. It was either that or terrify all the little children with it, and I figured that was a bad idea while I was streaming. Yeah, but who knows how long it's gonna last. The stream could last an hour, it could last 3 hours. The giveaway probably happens around 10. Oh, Lewis, thank you very much for hosting. I really appreciate that. While I was setting up my stream, I watched a little bit of the tail end of yours. You got just absolutely wrecked by miracles there. I watched like that reality smasher turn where like I was rooting for you. I thought you had it. That was brutal. So hello to everyone who's joining in from Lewis's raid. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site for legacy, death, and taxes, and that's what we're playing tonight on stream. If you want to see the exact deck list, you can click on the Cardboard Live extension on the left-hand side of the screen. It looks like a bunch of cards, and you can go ahead and hover over the cards to see exactly what they do. I hung a pig carcass outside, but nobody knocked on the door for treats. I don't get these kids. How do I reach these kids? Lurifix, thank you very much for throwing your Twitch Prime this way this much. I really appreciate it, and happy Halloween to you. Oh, we get to play against Egget. All right, M. Tesm, thank you very much for continuing your support of my channel as well. I really do appreciate that. It means a lot. You've been around for a long time now. So Egget is probably going to be playing D&T, and this hand's pretty stellar against D&T. Like, I have a Vial and a Mom and a Source of Plowshares. I have every piece of 1 mana stuff that I could possibly... Oh, never mind. Still maybe D&T. Yeah, Egget's doing something spicy over there. Yeah, Egget might be playing D&T with Mox Diamonds, or it could be something like White Eldrazi, that's looking to accelerate things like Thought-Knot Seer and Reality Smasher out, when also backed up by hate bears like Thalia and maybe like Vrynwing Mare as well. Alright, so my opponent's Mana Light, they might be locked under their own Thalia. I'm just going to throw my Aether Vial out there and then plan on porting them. I'm not actually too worried about their Thalia. Oh yeah, like, Displacer is disgusting. Land tax, Agate! So I can either let Egget land tax or just miss my land drop. I think I'm fine with missing my land drop. Have fun, Egget. Oh, shoot. They don't have 2 lands. They have a Mox Diamond and a land. Alright. That was on me. That was on me. So the only way I'm really punished for that... Egget types, how do I effing beat Vile, though? So the only way I get punished by this is if I draw a land. And I would want to Walking Ballista for 2. Still got all these swords. Man, I really hate playing with Ether Vial since this last Moto update. Okay. So, not punished for missing that. Am I fine with a ballista on one? Kind of fine with a ballista on one. Yeah, because I can ballista on one, kill the Thalia, and deploy this other vial. That's fine. That would let my opponent land tax again, but I don't think I really care about that. So, like, my opponent has 3 real cards left in hand, plus 2 planes. If I give them 3 more planes, like, they have, like, a marginal chance of, like, drawing better stuff. But I don't think I care. No, Merja, I didn't hear about that. Lewin, I think I want to save the plows for big, stupid things. I want to save those for things that Walking Ballista wouldn't be able to kill. So, like, if we see something like a Thought Knot Seer, I want to have both of these in hand. Okay, now that my opponent has Scroll Rack, I care slightly more about this whole land tax situation. Yeah, so my opponent is playing Parfait. So what that means is they're a land tax Scroll Rack based combo deck. Well, not combo, synergy deck. The idea is that you like draw a bunch of lands off of land tax and put them back in your deck with Scroll Rack. Why is it called Parfait? Great question. It's a great question. So a lot of times old legacy decks are named somewhat arbitrarily. This is the worst. So in case I want to plow, I don't actually think I want to put this Thalia into play. So the unfortunate thing is that like my opponent now gets to like shuffle with this land tax. So all the planes that they shuffled away are now just in their hand. Luckily, they're kind of like incentivized to play out a land so that they don't just discard a billion cards. And that would be the end of the land tax searching, at least for now. Yeah, a whole bunch of names are confusing to new players when it comes to like old school legacy decks. I do nothing a lot. like, I know a lot of the, like, high-end Legacy players at least somewhat well, so a lot of times I just ask. I just shoot them a message. I'm like, hey, do you want a guest on my stream? And they go, yeah, I'd love to. That'd be sweet. When could we do it? Fuck! Ooh, that's a great suggestion. I do nothing a lot. I'll So every turn for the rest of the game, I have to click through putting those on the stack every time, even if I say always no to all of them. It's super frustrating. Alright, so I don't want my opponent to just, like, keep land taxing, so, like, this is good enough. I'm not going to play out this port. I actually have no legitimate idea how good my opponent's hand is right now. Well, this is going to be obnoxious. My opponent does kind of need to... Speaking of obnoxious, these ether vials, though. Alright, I'm kind of glad that I can just wasteland that. So I do nothing a lot. Some of that became the Legacy Premier League. Because that took kind of like months of content to make. So that's part of it, but that sort of thing is going to return. Maybe not immediately, but it's more of that is coming. I have plans to do one set already. I've talked to one person, and we don't have a date set or anything, but like we want to do some matches. And I've got another person that I want to extend an invitation to as well. I'll stay vague for a little while with the details until like I actually get them confirmed and I have like dates set, but I've got some plans. Oh, life is bowling. That's a great feeling. Oh wow, opponent has Chrome Mox and Mox Diamond. No, I did not see that deck, Basic Planes. Okay, there was my guess that Bryn Wingmare was in the deck. That's confirmed now. Alright. This is not nothing. Probably need to use this turn. The super awkward thing is that if I play this Flicker Wisp and then dump in my Thalia, my Swords to Plowshares is going to be temporarily locked out. I think that's fine. Under normal circumstances, I'd usually, like, blink one of these mocks in order to, like, effectively destroy a card. But I think I need to try to stabilize the board here before my opponent, like, puts the Batter Skull on one of these. Oh, God. That's Jitte. Oh, no, that's Batter Skull again. Alright. I'm done here. I'm done. I'm not getting back in this one. Hey, Shelrayma, welcome. Scroll Rack is not a good card. Scroll Rack is a really, really bad card. Alright. So, I'm going to want this other Ballista. I'm going to want this Jailer. I'm going to want Recruiter, Council Judgment, Relic, Warder. Honestly, maybe even Cataclysm. This is like the definite maybe pile. But if my opponent is playing like Mox Diamond and Chrome Mox and Equipment, this might really wreck them. Yeah, you just message Egget if you want the deck list. It also might not be crazy to board in Chalice of the Void and just put it on 0 when I'm on the play. Let's figure out what I don't want. I don't want Thalia. I don't want Sanctum Prelate. Swords of Plowshares is actually kind of bad. Like, my opponent's creatures, they largely suck. So even though my opponent's a Stoneforge Mystic, Jitte, well, potentially Jitte deck, like, they search for Batter Skull twice. But I might actually want to trim some of these. I'm not sure about these Cataclysms. Like, they're conceptually good in some spot. But, like, my opponent... Like, I'm going to assume that my opponent boards out most of their, like, Thalia, Bryn, Wingmare type stuff. Yeah, land tax does make that awkward. Maybe I don't do that. Like, Swords to Plowshare was just so bad that game. So bad. Let's split those. I'm gonna play one because, like, a Cataclysm at the right time just seems devastating. Please do not Sorceress Spyglass me, bro. That is the name of this hand. I've named it. Yeah, Lord Darkview. I'm feeling lucky. Ah! Alright, whatever, opponent. Like, get some lands. You enjoy those lands. I'm gonna put Mom into play, and then, like, fucking get Jitte counters next turn, and you can live with that. Alright, opponent is going to be able to get some lands out of their deck. Opponent also really needs Swords to Plowshares right now. I think opponent has Swords to Plowshares and is trying to consider whether or not they should do it now. And the answer is yes, because if I just sit on this Mom, it's so devastating. Opponent has 12 cards in hand. It's a rarity from white decks. They have the combo. The sort of neat thing here is that if they don't play another land, it's kind of like they draw 6 each turn. Note that, like, my god, I wish I was playing a deck with, like, fast killing power. Because, like, my opponent is just dirtling. But there's not a lot I can really do against it with the cards that I have currently. I can't put real pressure on. Alright. So this turn, I get to play a game called How Many Lands Does My Opponent Have in Their Hand? They had a bunch. How batshit crazy do I go with these Flicker Wisps? Because I can go Flicker Wisp a Mox Diamond, Flicker Wisp another Mox Diamond. Or I can just get some Jitte counters. So my opponent had 6 in hand, and then they scroll racked for how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then they scroll racked for 6. That probably means that all 6 of those lands went back. But in 6 draws, they're very likely to hit another land. There's a lot of ways to play this turn. I think I like kind of like denying them the scroll rack instead. So I'll get my Jitte counters, go to my end step, deny them the scroll rack, and make them discard a bunch of cards at the end of their turn. I don't want to play out this land. I kind of want to get my opponent to commit another land to the battlefield. So of note, I don't really know what cards my opponent is running. Like, I don't know if I need to play around Disenchant. I don't know if I need to play around Council's Judgment. So, like, maybe I should have just held back on this Flicker Wisp, but I don't really know what I would be holding back for. The D&T squad is a great place to be. The deck's stock builds are probably a little unfavored versus Miracles and unfavored versus Grixis, but pretty darn good against everything else. Yeah, there we go. The builds that I'm playing with Chalice are pretty good against, well, I should say much better versus Grixis and actively good versus Miracles. I don't think me gaining any life matters. But at the same time, I still do think my opponent votes for Jitte, but there's a chance they just vote for my Vial. So I think I'm just going to let this resolve. Yeah, there we go. Good next level play, Phil. You got him. Lord Darkview, $12 convinced me to play Cataclysm. This is a donation deck list from Dr. Bill. Yeah, Jordan, this is the kind of next level stuff that you need to do in order to get good at D&T. Like, you can't get punished. I should rephrase that. You can't allow yourself to make mistakes that allow the game to slip away from you, because you're playing this weird control deck based around creatures where you really need to take advantage of heads-up plays. Oh, shit. That's so good. Path to Exile on my Flicker Wisp instead of on my Ballista. Great. Super happy about that. Oh, I guess that gives my opponent more lands. I'm still going to use this. I accept my opponent's trap because I have Batterskull right around the corner. There's a temptation there to name Scroll Rack because like it lets my opponent dig, but my opponent is super mana choked right now, and I want to take advantage of that. You know, I effectively have my opponent on a 2-turn clock. This is 7 damage on board, and I just want to end this game. This is awkward if this exact scenario happens. But that would have been the third 1-mana removal spell my opponent had this game, so, like, it is what it is. Not that they, like, had to use the scroll rack anyway. And Jazzy, thank you for those encouraging words. And it was not Bill Lee, it was Bill... Oh, geez. Slichting approximate pronunciation? I forget exactly. Our opponent is playing Parfait, land tax, scroll rack, mono white control. Yeah, you do this whole Sorcerer Spyglass thing, and you name Jitte, and then I can just crack you with Jitte anyway. Note here, opponent still has no way to stabilize the board. Or no way to deal me any damage. So, like, they've got a lot of cards, but so what? That's kind of the situation that we're in currently. Ooh, a recruiter, you say? That's really good. So I can Recruiter for Leon and Relic Order this turn, get 2 more counters on Jitte, then play Leon and Relic Order and crack my opponent for $1 billion? I think it's $1 billion. I don't math well. Opponent's getting like a ton of looks at cards, but the situation's still pretty bad for them. They're not developing their mana. They can't really play more than 1 card a turn realistically, at least at this time. So if my opponent doesn't have like a 1-drop removal spell to get rid of this Walking Ballista, then I'm threatening 10 damage this turn and lethal the following turn. Yeah, my opponent does have 2 turns. So I actually wonder if I actually want to Flicker Wisp the Sorceress Spyglass this turn, rather than Relic Warder, so that I can have a flying blocker in case something goes, or not flying blocker, flying attacker in case something goes wrong. Yeah, I was kind of afraid of that. This was like the one thing that like super punishes this line. And now my opponent can just like name Walking Ballista instead. It's frustrating, but I couldn't really afford to play around it. Okay. Now what? Batterskull is a bit of a short-term problem. I think I can eventually answer with Leon and Relic Warder. Would I trade my Flicker Wisp for that Wingmare? What am I tutoring? I'm probably just tutoring like a Palace Jailer. Palace Jailer and Revoker are both very good here. My plan is get Palace Jailer. Then eliminating this is very good. Just take the evasive card off the table. Now that I'm not playing Loam, I can remove this stop on my turn. Thank you very much for your continued support. I'm really glad you're choosing to support the awesome mono white content that we've got going on here. It's nice to be back on D&T after a few Loam streams. Loam feels really good right now, by the way. That deck seems awesome. Come on, land. Yes! Alright. So I get rid of this Stoneforge, and then I can, like, Relic Warder the Batterskull, or otherwise, like, deal with the Batterskull while just, like, hiding behind some chump blockers and drawing cards. I would consider becoming proficient in 4-color loam. I wouldn't say like I'm that committed to it yet, but I'm interested in working with aggro loam and humans as archetypes. Loamly is a rough pun. I'm not even mad. I don't know how many decks are as good as Cephalid Breakfast. We'll leave elves to Julian. Just a chump block's fine here. I don't want to like throw a billion bodies in front of this. My long-term plan is to either Relic Order it away if my opponent taps low, or to play out my own Batterskull. Although we're getting to the point where the real plan might be to time Agate out, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, Loam's really fun. The deck's very interesting in terms of, like, the number of... Oh! That's rude! Sir? Sir? Mm. Alright. So some things went wrong. This is probably the only opportunity that I'll basically ever get to do this. So I more or less have to take it here. Do I want to attack with my Palace Jailer? If I attack with my Palace Jailer, it shuts off drawing Flickerwisp to take the crown back as a line. If I don't attack, then I just give my opponent more time to draw cards. I'm not really too scared of them drawing cards. Yeah. I can let them draw cards. Yeah, so we have the decking angle and we have the clock angle as our best win conditions right now. Their deck doesn't really win. Their deck mostly just draws cards and dartles around. But, like, the plan is to win similarly to D&T in all seriousness, where, like, you establish control of the game, and once you do so, you pack your opponent to death with small creatures. So, like, for example, if my opponent goes and finds, like, a 1-drop removal spell, and they just, like, remove my Leon and Relic Warder here and get back their Batterskull, it's rough. Which is probably what they're playing towards. You're looking at Legacy at its finest. Mono-white control versus more other different mono-white control. Opponent has 4 of a kind now. It's gonna beat that. What's gonna beat that? Thalia Heretic Cathar. Plus Karak's backup. Jump blocks for days. Cataclysm would be a decent draw at this stage, yes. I gotta snip this. Alright. So I'll keep a Relic Order, a Plains, and my Vial. This way their Batterskull doesn't come back. And I will whack the Done button. That's awkward. But it would have been awkward, regardless. Rough! Jazzy, let me read that question in a minute. Okay. So, I can't actually block with this Stoneforge. It's gonna enter tap due to this Thalia. So my opponent just pluses this Gideon and whacks in, I die. But we're gonna hope my opponent forgets about their own Thalia. Yeah, there are a couple of ways in which this goes badly. Most of them, actually. Yeah, so that's 5, 9, 10, 11, 12. Gideon. Second Gideon emblem. Road. I'll tell him about the meteor line. Egget's going to come back to the chat after this match, in all likelihood. So you can probably get the deck list from him. Opponent, so nice, giving me another land before I die. Well, that all was very unexpected. What a match. What a match. Okay, Jazzy's question from before. I have a tournament coming up. If I proxy, I can use Chalice. If I don't, there's a high chance I'll be the highest ranked non-proxy deck and win a surgical extraction. How important are the chalices? I don't understand what you mean by highest. Oh, I see. The chalices aren't necessary. Yeah, Egget, that match was nuts. I enjoyed that a lot. That was the best post-Cataclysm rebuild I've ever seen. That was just absolutely insane, the way that you were able to recover there. I wish I had, like, a slightly more aggressive hand either game, because I feel like I just could not capitalize on the fact that you were just kind of, like, dirtling around there. And, like, because of that, your engine got to really get going. So I think I want to go ahead and try to Swords the Delver this turn, and then double Mom next turn. Or, like, Swords the Plowshares plus Mom next turn, alternatively. Yeah, our hand is the Nutter Butters versus Delver. Like, it could pretty much only be better if, like, this was another basic Plains or something. It's called Parfait. Reanimate Street Wraith. Okay. So I've got a choice to make this turn. I get to Swords to Plowshares one of these creatures. It actually might be correct to Swords to Plowshares the Delver, since I can use both of these Mother of Runes to just ignore the Street Wraith. But the Thalia would be very good if I just leave my opponent with the Delver. So this is interesting. In all likelihood, like, Delver flips in the next turn or two, so they're hitting for the same amount. So the question is, like, do I want the one that can block my Thalia, but can be held off by my mom, or do I want to get rid of the one that can be evasive? I think I want to get rid of the Street Wraith. I think just the 3/4 butt is pretty annoying here. Yeah, Ash, that's a great way to put it. Like, the world is my oyster. Like, either way, I'm in a great spot from it. Oh, interesting. My opponent takes the second mom. That might mean that they can, like, dismember or fatal push the first mom. But Thalia is still, like, super obnoxious, especially with Caracas backup. Opponent is also at 7 life. And, like, they have no card that can answer this Thalia on the stack, so they have to do it once it hits the battlefield. Opponent needs something like a Gurmag Angler or a Death Shadow to hold off this. There it is. I mostly just need to not flood. We only want to port my opponent once here because I want to block with Thalia and then bounce. So once I have Vile on 2 plus Thalia and Caracas, then that combo holds off Death Shadow for the rest of the game. I just need to answer the Delver. Yeah, Jailer would be nuts. I have so many great draws. I just need to, like, not hit land. That's frustrating. Now that, like, guaranteed flips and puts me to 1. Yeah, like, basically the only times where I'll lose to Death Shadow are where, like, I just don't draw cards. Like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lands, you know, versus 2, 4, 6 spells. You know, that's not the ratio I'm looking for. Oh, now if opponent just has, like, Force of Will plus blue card left in hand, I'm just, like, 100% dead. I want a very small list of outs now that I'm going to 1. It largely needs to involve ripping Palace Jailer. I could Stoneforge and cast Batterskull, but then my opponent just attacks me in the air and I die. Frustrating. See what past Phil did. This deck list is a little different. Previously, I was cutting Prelate, Jitte, Revoker, 1 Thalia, 3 Flicker Wisp, to bring in 2 Paths, 2 Council's Judgments, 2 Gideons, which aren't here, and 1 Jailer. So my configuration has changed a bit, so my sideboarding is going to have to be different. I'll probably play Recruiter. I'll probably play Ballista. That would still leave me with requiring more cuts. Maybe I end up leaving this. No, you don't want to play Chalice in this matchup because your best cards are 1-drops, right? Moms, Swords, Vile, Path to Exile, those are all of your best cards in the matchup. So you don't want to do that because you'll actually lock yourself out of some good stuff. On the draw, I'll board out 2 more Thalias and then play Revoker and Leonin Relic Warder, but I don't think I want to do those on the play. Revoker might be better than Sanctum Prelate. Lily, Last Hope is just terrifying. Yes, I play Pokemon Go. I am level 40. I play pretty consistently. I took some large breaks, but now I more or less play every day. At least for a little while. This hand's fine. I really want another land here. Like, the way I'm going to lose this game is, like, my wasteland gets wastelanded and I die. Yeah, Agate, go ahead. I don't want to share my Pokemon Go friend code in chat because I'm already at, like, 115 some odd friends. And I'm pretty sure it would just, like, fill up instantly if I did that. And I want to save myself some slots. Yeah, the Thalia resolving is nice there, but it might just mean that my opponent has, like, Dread of Night in hand, and then this is a wash. Push is fine. I know my opponent has Force of Will. I expect to see this get Force of Willed. Dread refers to Dread of Night. It gives all white creatures -1, -1. Yeah, so there goes the Stoneforge. Now I'll play out this Ether Vial. Note, I'm not trying to deny my opponent mana here. I need my mana. My hand is relatively mana hungry at the moment. Him getting both of my recruiters with a follow-up Wasteland. That is disgusting. Oh, I see, gotcha. I guess I can just put that in off of Vial in a minute. Again, don't want to wasteland my opponent. I need my mana. Hey, welcome, Answer Key Gaming. This is round 2. We had a very long first round versus Parfait. Why is any old Legacy deck called what it is? Oh, geez. Like, a Stoneforge off the top would be awesome. Hey, welcome. And happy Halloween. Are there not little kids pounding on your door? We had to put a bowl out for them. Although I stole a little bit of the candy for myself. Because there's like really sweet flavors of like Laffy Taffy and stuff that I've never tried before. We got like pineapple Laffy Taffy and guava Laffy Taffy. Then mango chili nerds and guava nerds. So looking forward to all that. Rude. No, my roommate just like stopped at Kroger on the way home and like that's what was there. Well, this is frustrating. So like this was the perfect draw, but because my opponent also could get rid of my mom, it became not the perfect draw anymore. So I have to like chump block the angler with my Stoneforge so I don't just get lethaled. And then I need to draw something relevant next turn. Flicker Wisp would be ideal. And if opponent just has another creature, I'm boned. Well, that still qualifies as boning, I believe. If I would have ticked up, I could have exiled one of these. But then I like throw away my Flicker Wisp line, which is so much better. So if I tick this up to 4 for my 2 of Palace Jailer, it would not have mattered. Alright. Not punished. Yeah, and then like the final part of the tradition is like going to the store the day after Halloween and getting all the discount candy that they're trying to get rid of. Oh, that's right, I boarded out some number of wisps. So I boarded out 3 wisps, so I was only drawing towards 1 wisp. Yeah, maybe it would have been correct to draw to like +4. Like I'm still in just an absolutely terrible position. Yeah, I've played a little bit of modern TNT. I tried it at multiple times throughout Modern, and there were only very few windows, usually like for a week or two, where I felt like D&T was really well positioned in Modern. Um, it just feels like too slow of a deck, and I don't feel like there's enough power there. Like you're missing like Waste, Port, Vial, Mom, Stoneforge. Like I just don't know that there's a huge draw to playing D&T in Modern at the moment. Oh, I misspoke. I meant to say like you're missing like Swords, Mom, Waste, Port. You're missing a lot of like the key cards that make the Legacy version good. Stoneforge as well. Yeah, this little card pretty decent. Play a Goblin Guide for me. Yeah, this hand's real good versus Burn, especially if we get a land off the top. Give it to me, Gobby. Stoneforge Mystic. Well, that's fine too. Yeah, I can't conceptualize why Stoneforge Mystic is still banned in Modern. Like, it makes literal 0 sense to me. given everything else absolutely absurdly broken that's going on in that format. Yeah, Raylan, that's a really good way to put it. When I was playing D&T, I felt like whenever my opponent was playing like a bad deck or whenever they were stumbling, that my deck was awesome. But otherwise, like when I was on the draw and my opponent was just doing their thing, I just felt like dead every time I didn't have file. Ooh, we're gonna get a mom. Crip Rat, I've been on both sides of that equation before. And I think the answer is it depends on your list. I think currently keeping a jailer in the mirror. I don't think I'm boarding in my second one. All right, give me some lands. Scumbag Goblin Guide. Here I just want to play something that trades with a Goblin Guide. Yeah, so I haven't played any modern since like the newest iteration of Dredge came around, but apparently like Creeping Chill is a really sweet card. Hey, land. Hey, more land. This is great now. Okay, what is the next step? I can just play Mom and Jitte this turn. I can just jam Sanctum Prelate. Yeah, I know I need to be aware of Searing Blood. I usually don't play around that in game one. I usually think about it for the post-sideboard games. So I think I'm going to jam this, and if they have any one-drop removal spells, I'm going to make them fire them off at my face right now. Yeah, my plan is to play this on 1 this turn, and then go Jitte equip the next turn. And then if my opponent wants to get rid of this, they would need to do something like Fire Blast it. And if I get to like trade this for Goblin Guide and Jitte counters, 100% deal. Getting more planes here would be sweet, so I don't have to fear Price of Progress as much. Vial on top's kind of interesting. I almost think that my opponent has, like, Fire Blast in hand. And that if I go for, like, Jitte Equip, it might just be bad. I can go Mother of Runes and Recruiter next turn. And then super safely get Jitte counters on the following turn. The pause when I cast the Sanctum Prelate is not for a 1-drop. If you have 1-drops, you just fire those off, because, like, 1 is the thing that you name. I'm going to go ahead and block. Yeah, but there's no way in hell I put this on 2. It's just not a thing that you do in the matchup. Well, it's going to get someone to ban Marco there. I can't get it right now. It's too close to the bottom of the screen. There are a lot of people who don't really have lives, and the best thing that they come up with to do is to, like, go and insult anonymous people, or insult people anonymously on the internet, and, like, that's what they do. Oh no, it happens. I've banned lots of people for it. It's okay. When that happens, we just go through process. We report them, their Twitch account gets banned. It's not that difficult. All right, let me kind of think about what I'm doing here. I haven't played this build in a while. Oh, sorry, I should say I haven't played against Burn in a while with a build like this one. On the play, I don't know that I want the path. All right, Swords to Plowshares for turn 1 creature, follow up Chalice of the Void, and or Thalia. So note that, like, Chalice of the Void is slightly awkward in a matchup like this one because, like, your 1-drops are still good, but the impact that it has on a game is absurd. Yeah, so this is going to basically play out exactly like I want, assuming my opponent doesn't have Smash to Smithereens. Ooh, free land! I've heard some people say good things about Burn. I can neither confirm nor deny these based on my own play experiences in recent times. Suspend Riftbolt. Sure. Well, I'll just cast this eventually. If I play Thalia, I'm just throwing it into Riftbolt this turn, and I don't really want to do that, so I think I'm just fine with porting my opponent. Yeah, so like historically the combo the issue with a deck like Burn is that it's relatively soft to fast combo. And if things like Dredge and Black-Red Reanimator are running around, that's not really what you want to do. If you're playing against a bunch of, like Grixis and Miracles and stuff where like you just kind of have the inevitability because every spell is scary, then it's a better time to play that sort of thing. Ooh, a Barbarian Ring that is really far away from working. Burn's a bit of a nail biter. D&T is probably favored as a whole. All right, opponent just floated a red mana and did nothing with it, so that was cool. My personal records against Burn are favorable. If you sat down and played like really good Burn player versus really good D&T player, the results might be different though. Eidolon. Deal. Deal, 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 deal. So it was just my plan to cast Batterskull. And that might still be correct. Alright, my opponent just concedes. Yeah, just like wasting a Barbarian Ring and porting them is fine as well. Like the clock is most certainly in my favor here. Okay, on the draw, I probably want one more piece of 1-drop Disruption. And Chalice is a little slow on the draw. Alright, what would I do if I don't Chalice? If I don't Chalice, I'd be putting like a Crusader back in and like a Revoker. That's kind of medium. Cut one port and keep the Chalices. I don't know that I want to trim lands here. Like, one of the ways Burn gets you is you just stumble, right? Like, you just don't get to cast your cards, so I don't think I want to cut a land. Maybe I could just play one Council's Judgment and just not have another answer to Sulfuric Vortex, and just have like 4 Flicker Wisp plus Relic Order plus 1 Council's Judgment. Because Council's Judgment is really bad when they don't play Vortex. I don't know how popular Vortex is right now. This seems fine. I'd also like consider just cutting the second Council's Judgment for a Revoker just to have another early play. Which I don't hate. No, you never cut Vile. Vile's the best card in the deck. Like, if you're playing Death and Taxes, you don't cut this card. There's basically only one matchup where I cut it, and that's Nick Fit, where they are both giving me extra lands and sweeping the entire board. That's the only matchup where I board out Vile. So something that's kind of neat that, like, even though you're putting Chalice on one, you just like Vile in your mom, so you're not actually shutting that off as something that you care about. How do I want to play this hand? I can just choose to take a turn off to path this Eidolon, and then play Chalice on 1. Giving my opponent the land doesn't really matter. That would allow me to use one more card in my hand. I think I can afford to wait. I'm in a situation where, like, given the resources that I have, I'm probably like 90+% to win this game if I don't just get like aped out in the first couple of turns. No, I'm fine with waiting until my opponent's attack step. Like, if they want to go and play something like a Monastery Swift Spear or a Goblin Guide, it's just two free damage. Come on, smash my vial right now. Do it. Okay, so I'm actually going to vial in my Thalia right now, so that if my opponent has Smash to Smithereens, they can't get rid of my Chalice this turn. This would, like, keep me from putting Caracas up, but I already have Mom as a protective shield. Unfortunate. Ooh, Lewin, that's a great point. And opponent says GG. Yeah, opponent would need to be playing something really weird, like some sort of pyroclasm effect, like a volcanic fallout, in order for that to matter at all. Plus have land. Like, opponent was basically dead after they mulliganed to like 5 there. That's just devastating. I think my opponent plays Dredge. I have a feeling my opponent's about to offer me tickets or chests for a concession. I'm only playing 3 pieces of Graveyard Hate, right? Yeah, 2 Surgical, 1 Containment Priest. Your opponent's offering a split. That just kind of makes sense for me to do here. Like, I'm somewhat unlikely to cash this league. I'm very unlikely to win this. Yeah, Walking Ballista counts as soft hate. All right, I accepted the split and told my opponent if they open up the trade, I'll concede immediately after, but they're not doing so. So I'm playing. Why? Because in order to win this game, I probably need to hit planes for Thalia. What's the current 5-0? Is that 16 chests? Yeah, that's right. It's 180 play points, 16 chests. All right. We will concede that whole match there. Note, I'm not counting that one as, like, a round of Magic played, since I didn't actually play Magic there. So we'll just keep going. So I have played 3 rounds of Magic, and now we'll drop this one. And we'll play 2 more rounds of Magic before my giveaway. My opponent offered me a split, where they were about to 5-0 and get 16 chests, so they didn't want to risk playing the round out, so they gave me 8 for free. It's one of those things that you, like, absolutely can't do on paper Magic, but on Magic Online, they're like, whatever. Let's have completely different rules than on paper. So, it's very common. So, my opponent still gets, like, 8 chests, plus a trophy, plus the play points. Oh man, I love sushi. I'm doing all-you-can-eat sushi on Friday, and it's like the best thing you can do for $20. Yeah, so I have some issues with all of the jargon associated with, like, some of the bribery stuff that has to happen with paper events. Like, I understand why the rules are the way they are, but it's just, like, feel bad for everyone in just about every capacity. There was a really recent feel bad DQ where someone got DQ'd in the finals. I think it was like a PTQ for offering to split prizes, and they were all prizes from the same event. But apparently some of them had been awarded at the end of the Swiss, and that was different from prizes that they were allowed to negotiate during the top 8. And that was just awful. Alright, I think my opponent plays Grixis Delver. This is an amazing hand versus Delver. Like, I have Mom and Swords and mana stability. Oh wait, these are oldish results. These are from at tail end of last year. So tail end of last year, they were playing Grixis Delver. Yeah, I almost never will start a split discussion myself. If other people want to split, I'll consider it. Like, probably about 50% of the IQs that I played in was just, like, a top 4 chop, because, like, everyone else wanted to go home, and that was fine with me. Alright, let's not get dazed. That'd be great. I should maybe even, like, wait a turn to do this to play around Daze, but my opponent pitched Strix, so they might just be, like, Grixis Control rather than Delver. And I'm going to get Sword of Fire and Ice here. My opponent showed Baleful Strix, so I want to be mindful of that. Yeah, if like, you play a day's worth of Magic and you split and you get $50 in store credit, that's just, like, awful, right? So, like, at a bunch of the IQs I was... Ooh, this is probably going to be really good as the game goes along. To finish that thought, at a bunch of the IQs I was playing, if I top 4 split, it ended up being, like, 125 store credit. And that was like, yeah, okay, sure, that's fine for a day. Gonna go ahead and deny my opponent some mana here. Maybe decrease the chance that I just get Life Call against commanded in the next turn cycle. Yeah, chopping at top 8 a lot of times doesn't make sense to me. Chopping in top 4 a lot of times ends up being decent prizes. On Magic Online, I've never offered to split. Like, if I'm live for prizes, I'm fine with just playing for those prizes. And if I 5-0, I would much rather, like, 5-0 based on my own merit and then, like, walk away with all of it. And if I walk away with half as much because, you know, I lost, so be it. Like, I don't care about trophies because I'm never going to have the potential to be a trophy leader, just like with the amount of Magic that I'm playing. Like, I have win rates approximate to a lot of the people who are, you know, up there doing the grinding, but, you know, I don't play nearly enough leagues. And that's just a fact of it. And so, to me, trophies don't matter. If I'm not the winner, second place doesn't mean a lot. I think my opponent has push. I just feel like that's a card in their hand. Just, that's my gut inclination here. I'm going to go ahead and take this Strix off the table. I could just do so with Swords to Plowshares instead, but just getting this off the table means that if my sword gets destroyed with a Culligan's Command or something like that, I just feel so much better about it. And if my opponent has a follow-up creature, I can just Swords it without losing any tempo. I think E.W. Landon did a stream earlier today. Oh, neat. Opponent's going like Snapcaster Ponder now. That's a great use of like their turn for me. Yeah, like if you are grinding Moto purely for financial value, then like playing a deck that can win very quickly is super important. Like my D&T leagues tend to take, you know, maybe 2 hours when I'm by myself or maybe 3 hours when I'm on stream. That's a really long time. Like when I'm just like messing around and I'm playing with like Dredge or something like that, those leagues are like an hour, and it's like just crazy how much more Magic you can play in just like picking a fast linear deck that can just win. All right. So what's next? I want to have another body in play in case my opponent just like edicts or something stupid. So I could go like Revoker and Double Vial this turn, or I could play like Vial and Spirit Keeper. Spirit Keeper's kind of obnoxious, but it just gets like so much better as the game goes on. Yeah, opponent shuffled with the Ponder. So I don't necessarily think like a K command's in my future. A Jace could be. But if they have Jace, I'm fine with Revokering next turn. Force pitch Jace. Well, I'm really happy that we're this late in the game and my opponent has pitched a Jace. That might mean that they're like missing the 4th land, or it might mean they have no other blue cards, or they have another Jace. So like I can't make any clear conclusions yet. Wisp ain't bad. Vendelion Click is fine. Target me, that's fine. This is kind of like interesting to me because in my mind, their situation feels dire enough where they should be clicking themselves. Especially like in the face of this Caracas. Ooh, Source of Plowshares. Lewin, thank you very much for throwing your Twitch Prime money this way this month. I really do appreciate it. Praise be to Thalia. Enjoy your emote. Push, target my Stoneforge. That's okay. All right. So, what am I doing with life here? No. That refers to 2 people who have subscribed this stream specifically. So, I'm going to target my Caracas. And I'll float a mana. Yeah, the phrasing of that is not the best. So if I Swords this, my opponent goes to 12, and I'm hitting for 7, and then 7 again. So Swordsing this doesn't actually matter. And I don't think I want to just keep bouncing this and let them, like, deny me my draw steps. So I'm just going to get rid of this. Yeah, that makes sense to me. This is something that I thought might happen. An opponent basically needs to find Fatal Push again here. I'm not going to ignore the Jace. I'm not going to do it. That card's real good. The click can't block, but the click can keep hitting me. Or, like, if I just keep bouncing it, my opponent will get more opportunities to go and, like, click me and take things out of their hand, or go ahead and, like, click themselves to get rid of bad cards. And so, like, I think it's a card I'm going to want to eventually answer one way or another. So I'm probably best off just dealing with it permanently now while nothing can go wrong. No, you have no reason to, like, be ashamed for playing Grixis Control. Like, it's clearly one of the best decks in the format. Flicker Wisp is awesome here. So now if something goes and happens to my mom, I can just, like, protect it. I'm not going to play out my land here, because if my opponent, like, K commands me in response to a Vile activation or something, opponent just plays a land, then they're dead. You hate having advantages. Why would you hate having advantages? Alright. So I'm going to sideboard in, like, most of my sideboard. We're ready. So my approach to the Grixis Control matchup currently is, like, board out my 1-drops and lean on Chalice to, like, stop a decent amount of their removal and their dig. Let me see what I was doing previously. Well, this is a little different now. So I was pulling Revoker, Wisps, Plains, Mom with that version. Revoker is, like, super awkward in this matchup because, like, you love it to shut off Planeswalkers, but, like, the number of times that actually works and goes the way you want is super, super low. I used to cut a land in this matchup, but now that I'm, like, really heavy on expensive cards, I don't know if that's still correct. It might not be. The last card I'm going to cut is either Revoker or Plains. I think I'm going to cut the Revoker. Like, so many times endgame, I want to be tutoring for, like, Spirit Keeper anyway. So, ugh. Maybe I'm on the draw and, like, cutting a Plains is fine. It's just, like, really awkward because I'm super, super heavy on white-white. And I'm playing 4/4 drops. I'll do this on the draw. On the play, I'll play one more land. I'm going to keep this hand. As long as I get land, this hand is amazing. Yeah, so Master, I do have the option to make, like, manually click and turn my deck into a mono white deck. The only black card that's there is Surgical. Hallowed Spirit Keeper is, like, way better versus Grixis, and Brimaz is better versus like Miracles. All right, there's another land. Awesome. Yeah, Spirit Keeper's like so good in these like fair mid-rangey to control-ish sorts of matchups where like you just get to go and like, oh, I accidentally 5 spirits. So Bahra Mark in chat messed around with a lot of different Hallowed Spirit Keeper decks in the previous metagame just because like they had huge potential if you could like consistently sacrifice them. Do you smell that, chat? It smells like Culligan's command in here. So I don't want to throw away this land. I really want my mana. But here's what's going to happen. I'm going to wasteland my opponent's red source, and then they're going to Culligan's command. They're going to like destroy my Chalice of the Void and make me discard a card. And then I'm going to play the second Chalice and drink their tears. I think I can spare a Recruiter. Nice. Okay, so my opponent is missing land drops. I can just Recruiter, get Jailer, and if I draw a land, I win the game, probably. No, you're not too late for the party. Welcome. Actually, if this is going to stick around, I should probably just Recruiter for Sanctum Prelate and then put it on 3. Jailer would have been so good. I'm fine with trading these bodies. The only way it's awkward is if my opponent has like exactly the card Diabolic Edict in hand. Another Strix friend. I decided against attending Eternal Weekend this year. I kind of wrestled over the decision for a while before just deciding I didn't want to go. I had a really bad experience at Eternal Weekend where they like made me play 11 rounds of Legacy on one day. I don't feel like the tournament was well handled, and the drive's long, and the prizes aren't that great unless you top 4. And all those factors working together just kind of make me nonplussed about doing it. Yeah, 11 rounds on, I think it was Saturday. I'm still salty about that. It was... I'm gonna diversify here. It was so bad that, like, by the time we got out of the venue, we literally could not find somewhere to eat. It was extremely difficult. Like, we just wanted a beer after that day, and we could not find any. I think we ended up, like, going through, like, a Taco Bell. There goes the Cataclysm. I think we ended up, like, going through a Taco Bell drive-through or something equivalent, and that was, like, the best we could do. Yeah, the Magic I was playing at the end of that day was pitiful. Like, I cashed that event. Like, I think I pulled my store credit with my roommate to get a moat, and so, like, that was cool. But the level of enjoyment I got out of that event was borderline zero. I was miserable after that weekend. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and take this off the table. Oh, that was a perfect draw. That's why I didn't play his planes pre-combat. So for like people wondering why I went on to Chalice in the sideboard of D&T, it's for matchups like Grixis Control and Miracles, where if you shut down a portion of their hand, their value-oriented cards don't do nearly as much. Yeah, I'm very happy that day one is only 9 rounds. Okay, so I have a choice. I can either just, like, run out this Revoker now, or I can keep it in hand. I think I just like keeping it in hand. If you want to use that mana, you can use it right now. Otherwise, I'll take you off black in your draw step. If they drew Fatal Push for turn, this gives them a chance to use it. Diabolic Edict. I will sacrifice this Stoneforge. So I can now extend further onto the board safely because Deluge for 4 is necessary in order to sweep, and my opponent, like, literally can't do that. So Jace doesn't matter, opponent dies. Lily Last Hope doesn't really matter, opponent dies. I guess I'll name Lily on the Last Hope, because if my opponent, like, plays Lily and a removal spell, that would be bad. Alright, opponent didn't float this turn, so I'll just port them the second time here. Yeah, SCG still does Legacy Opens from time to time, and the Legacy is still pretty popular in their, whatever they're calling it, their trios, their team-constructed events. All right, chat, I'm going to run to the restroom before we go into the next round here. I will be right back. That's the ad screen. Be right back, screen. All right, I'm back. Hello, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, a site dedicated to legacy death and taxes, and that's what we're streaming with today. Our deck list is pretty sweet. All right, I'm not Phil. I'm Skellin Bro. I've been hanging out. I just wanted to say hi to the stream. Bye. Okay, but I'm actually Phil Gallagher, and I run Thraben University. I couldn't help it. It's Halloween. Like, he's been hanging there all night. He wants friends. He just wanted to say hello. All right. So this is our fifth round of tonight. We're playing with Legacy D&T. I'm glad I terrified you. Happy Halloween. Skeletor is also a D&T expert. Aha! All right. So after this round, I owe you all a giveaway, and one of you will win the opportunity to have one of your deck lists featured on stream. It's a donation deck list, minus the donation part. Oh yeah, that definitely needs to be clipped. Do I have a skeleton in my closet? No, it's hanging from the ceiling. How can it be in the closet if it's hanging from the ceiling? Don't worry, he's harmless. Alright. So if we play against, like, a Delver deck or something, this hand's okay. But otherwise, this hand, like, kind of has do-nothing syndrome. If these Search the Plowshares aren't good, then, like, this is awful. So I'm going to ship this one. Oh, good God, this hand is also terrible. The commander card was Hallowed Spirit Keeper. I almost think a 5 is better than this. I'm gonna keep it, but this is bad. I top that land. Yeah, so it was Hallowed Spirit Keeper. And if you're curious about what that does, you can hover over it on the Cardboard Live extension to see. It just makes a whole bunch of spirits. Hey, Negator. Opinions on Chains of Mephistopheles. I mean, Chains is awesome. We getting reanimated. So how do we win this game? We win this game by my opponent not having another land! Post the instructions for chains before playing it. Negator, that's great. By the way, Negator, I'm still getting very positive feedback on a regular basis about that stream that I did with you. People really liked it. Do I let them know I'm on D&T? I think this is the point where I just die. They probably already know I'm on D&T. Everyone and their mother looks up, like, what deck I'm on. So, anytime when I'm not playing D&T, I value hiding information more, but when I'm playing D&T, it's like, whatever. Yeah, if my opponent just, like, Grizzlebrands, draws 14, and misses, and I draw Caracas, sure. Okay, so about that Caracas, though. You see opponent, like, pausing, like, do I go to 1? Is this okay? Reanimate a Flicker Wisp. Alright. I am Falcor. The Miracles and Grixis control decks are probably the best decks of the format right now, other than, like, maybe Dredge. So, keeping that in mind, those are hard matchups to play, and if you don't have a good approach for them and, like, a good sideboard plan, you'll flop around and die. Alright, opponent has done 15 to themselves, but I don't think I'm going to get to do the last 5. I don't really think reanimating the Flicker Wisp is bad. 7 plus 3 is 10, right? 10 times 2 is 20. Math. So it's a 2-turn clock if they reanimate Flicker Wisp. And it also, like, gives them the option to draw 7 with Grizzlebrand if something goes wrong. I have 2 Caracas. Oh, and if opponent had Exhume last turn, then, like, getting my Flicker Wisp out of the graveyard is just sweet value. Now I should be done, so. Like, none of my cards in hand that they can take matter. So I would need to not rip that. Should have attacked with Mother of Runes, see if they block, you know, just for future information. Okay. So what cards are really good? Surgical, Priest, Third Recruiter. Those are really good. Then Chalices, Council's Judgment, Jailer, Relic Warder, Path, all fall into the, like, pile. So previously, I was cutting my Stoneforge Mystic package and my mom's and 1 land. And I was bringing in Relic Order, 2 Chalice, 2 Path, Fairy, Surgical, Council Judgment, Rip, Recruiter. God, no. I never want to play the third Caracas again if I can avoid it. So, Jailer is probably too slow to, like, realistically matter. I might keep one in the deck as a tutor target. The Ballista sort of sucks. Path and Swords lose some value if I'm boarding in 3 Chalices. And some of the generic beater slots at 3 mana are probably too slow to matter. Yeah, this is an experimental deck list. Oh my gosh, Mark. Thank you. Thank you. That's why my numbers were looking so weird. I'm like, I don't usually feel like I'm boarding out this many things. Thanks. I said, like, cut the Stone Forges and the equipment, then I just didn't pull these. Okay, so I get to put 2 cards back in. I guess I can just play another Jailer as an out to creatures. And... oh my gosh. Alright. I'm going to play this as Chancellor fodder. Which is potentially questionable, and maybe not worse than a land. So, like, this has a turn 2, a turn 3, and a turn 4 play. But it's kind of weak. Like, Revoker on Grizzlebrand on turn 2 is just medium. And if, like, my opponent thought seizes me and sees Caracas, then, like, the jig is up. I'm going to keep this one. Yeah, Caracas doesn't beat them drawing 14. But, like, unless they, like, Dark Writ or something turn 1, then I do have the... oh, they're pitching Dark Writ. That's not a good sign. Alright, so now I'm going to lose this Revoker. So, like, their Grizzlebrand's going to be live. And now they also know that, like, they can avoid getting Grizzlebrand and just get something else to play around this Caracas. Oh no, they just take Jailer. That's interesting. Does that mean they can still just go now with, like, second Dark Writ Entomb, reanimate Herp? Or does it mean they have, like, a Thoughtseize and they're taking the Revoker as well? Oh god, if opponent, like, reanimates Palace Jailer, that's so sexy. Good god, I'm scared of that. Like, it's no Grizzlebrand, but... damn. Of note, Exhume looking a lot worse now. Magus of the Moon. That's some old EW Landon tech. I played around with that in the sideboard of Reanimator. It was sweet. Oh, sweet. Swords to Plowshares as a draw. That's awesome. Yeah, because you get to Flicker Wisp your Flicker Wisp, and then Flicker Wisp your Flicker Wisp, and Flicker Wisp your Flicker Wisp, until your opponent is just like, will you stop? One thing I will say I loved about playing modern D&T was that when I went and like got to like Restoration Angel Flicker Wisp, it just felt dirty all the time. Yeah, all right. So here's what we talked about, right? This was something that I was afraid of. But I'll get it back. I'll show you what's what, opponent. This Flicker Wisp is going to be so good. Like, I Flicker Wisp the Palace Jailer. That makes me the Monarch. I get my Revoker back. I name Grizzlebrand. Then I exile their Magus of the Moon with it. So sexy. It's okay. I can wait until the end of the turn to draw. That's fine. Please don't let their last two cards be Unmask and Blackguard. Oh, holy shit, opponent super punts! Opponent super punts! It's on board, sir! It's on board! Huh. How do I want to do this? So, like, which land I play is kind of interesting. No, Chalice on 1 is not just lights out. Chalice on 1 is very good. Chalice on 1 is much better when your opponent doesn't have a creature in the graveyard yet. So I want to explain the reason why I'm like tapping the way that I am, in case it's not clear. So if my opponent attacks in with the Magus looking to trade it for this Revoker, then at the end of combat, I can wasteland this Badlands before they have a chance to do something with 3 mana or with red mana on their main phase. I would say that opponent has made some tactical errors this game. I would say that's a fair assessment. This is actually a great draw. Like, really what I'm looking for at this point is just, like, something else to close the game. We see some of the awkwardness of, like, the Reanimator matchup in particular. Most of the time it's not awkward playing, like, Chalice and your 1-drops because you're, like, sideboarding out some number of them. Reanimator's the one matchup where, like, they're both good, and it's just super weird. This is the price I pay for, like, making the Miracles and Grixis matchup sweet. All right, this is, like, literal game over. Once this is on 2, my opponent just, like, literally cannot reanimate anything. And we get there. So just, like, side story time while we're at it, chat. Like, there have been a couple of times where I've been, like, stone cold dead, and I went, like, how can I win this game? And my answer was, like, by my opponent being bad. So, like, there was a time where, in paper, I went and put, like, Sanctum Prelate on, like, something stupid. I forget what the exact matchup was. It might have been Reanimator or, like, some Grizzlebrand deck, and I go and, like, put Prelate on 8. And I just say, like, go. And he's like, all right, good game. And, like, gives me the handshake. And after he scooped up the cards, you go, like, you know, you should read this card. It doesn't stop you from casting creatures. And my opponent went, like, well played. It was neat. Alright, so does anything change now that I know my opponent is playing Magus? Not really. It also happened against 4-color Loam, where my opponent thought they couldn't cast their Scavenging Ooze once I had it on 2. This Ballista's pretty bad. Although I guess it's a random out to Magus. So maybe it's not the worst. This hand's a lot like the last hand. This sort of thing's so much worse on the draw, though, because they can just, like, produce an idiot before I can Chalice. I'm gonna keep it. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it and pray. Oh. Alright, if I don't get turn 2'd, this hand is now insane. One of my roommates played the World Gorger Dragon Reanimator deck for a little while. In a word, janky. Alright, end of turn, Entomb. No Entomb. Wow. What did opponent keep? No turn 1 play? Yeah, we super dodged a bullet there. So, like, if opponent doesn't discard me or create a creature this turn, I just, like, priest, and the game is probably over. If they discard me but don't make a creature... Alright, so this is unmask, target themselves. Oh, man, opponent's hand is stacked. That's so unfortunate. Alright, Massacre, Reanimate, Wear Tear left. So, like, if opponent doesn't produce another creature here, it is okay, though. Like, I get to bounce this Grizzlebrand, though they have Wear Tear. No, like, the Caracas is in my hand. Like, it being in my hand versus in play is no difference here. Alright, Elesh Norn and Reanimate. Alright, this is looking okay for Phil fans. Not good, but okay. Alright, so I have 2 Chalice of the Voids now. I almost want to put one on 0 so my opponent can't Lotus Petal at any point this game. Although they would have played out Lotus Petal if they had it, so that might be ambitious. Oh, you mean for Massacre reasons. Sure. But it's just, like, never correct to lead on planes in this matchup, because you do not want to show them the Caracas. I should put one on 0. Like, it's just for 4 Lotus Petals, though. Okay, that's true. If my opponent wants to bin both creatures, then playing a Lotus Petal would work against that. Magus of the Moon. Okay. That's not relevant right now. Loot away, buddy. Okay. So my Vial is likely to get wear-teared unless I give them something else to wear-tear. So I should probably put a Chalice on one so they wear-tear that. Alternatively, I can just play out Mirren Crusader, which is a one-turn clock. So if I just cast Mirren Crusader, my opponent probably has to Massacre. And then after their Massacre, they probably go for a Reanimate on something, like a Reanimation spell on something, and I get them with Containment Priest. What if they just go for, like... Yeah, I think I'm supposed to do this. It's a little awkward that they could, like, try to go for an Eleshnorn and wipe the Crusader that way. Alright. So there's the Massacre, as expected. Reanimate targeting Mirren Crusader, you say? Ha-ha! It was me, Containment Priest, all along. Yeah! We did it. We're such bullies. All right, Chad. I think I owe you a giveaway now for our sort of like Halloween celebration. All right. So our keyword here is Thalia. Type Thalia into chat in order to be entered into a chance to win seeing one of your deck lists on stream. Yeah, so the keyword here is Thalia. If you haven't already, type in Thalia. I'll let this run for another minute or so. So while I'm doing this, I just want to talk about a couple of generic things. So number one, thank you all for coming out and spending part of your Halloween with me. I really appreciate it. You know, I know many of you had other things that you could be doing, and you decided to watch some Magic and support me. That's awesome. Thank you very much. For those of you that enjoyed the content tonight, please follow if you want to see more Legacy content. I'm streaming every Monday and Wednesday night, as well as Saturday mornings. And if you really enjoy my stream, consider subscribing or doing a donation deck list or doing something else in order to support me. Aww, why thank you. Yeah, so, like, side story while the last couple of people enter. I picked up D&T largely not by watching streamers, because that wasn't really a thing yet, but by reading posts on, like, MTG Salvation, and then later, like, a few years later, The Source. And it's just so nice now that, like, Magic is much more visible, and we can go ahead and just, like, learn. Like, when I want to learn how to pick up a new deck, I can find one of the experts of the deck and just, like, watch it. And that's so cool. That's part of the reason why I try to make my videos educational and, like, bring in these guests when I can, so that people can learn from them. All right, that's enough of that. Let's see who our lucky winner is. All right, Randy, congratulations. If you know what deck list you'd like to see now, feel free to go ahead and send that to me. You don't have to send me a 75. You just know a deck you want to see. I can probably put it together. Otherwise, if you want to go ahead and like message me on Twitter or send me a message on here with the deck list when you find it, that's fine. Randy, if you would just go ahead and verify that you are watching the stream currently so that you can accept this, that would be great. All right. Randy is indeed around. So give it some thought. All right, let's look at the deck list for a minute. So just like going back to this screen. The deck list that I played tonight felt pretty good. So again, the chalices that I'm running make me better against, like, most random combo decks and, like, Grixis Control and Miracles. But, like, playing these comes at the cost of slots that are graveyard hate normally. And that's scary right now. So I'm choosing to hedge intentionally in one direction. Has Chalice actually been good versus Grixis? Yes, most certainly. So what Chalice does against Grixis is it reduces the power of their 2-for-1 cards by shutting off some number of cards in their hand. So when they have things like Jace or Culligan's Command or, like, Baleful Strix that are, like, drawing them into cards or giving them card advantage, if you're shutting off a third of the cards they draw, or a few critical cards with this, then it means the rest of their cards go less far. Is Stoneforge Mystic still worth it? Yeah. Like, Stoneforge is really, really good against a chunk of the format. Like, especially against, like, your Delver-style decks. It's very, very powerful. And Stoneforge is awesome against Miracles. Just, like, getting a Sword of Fire and Ice into play is fantastic. And in the Grixis Control matchup specifically, Sword of Fire and Ice is one of the things that lets you punch through Baleful Strix, which is a huge problem card there. Funny that you mention Ant. You may see that on this channel in a month or two. I may have talked to a certain Storm Pilot about guesting on this channel at some point in the next month or two. So there's a teaser for you. So let's talk about what I like and what I don't dislike about this list. So what I like is the main deck. I feel like the main deck is very, very close to perfect for the metagame right now. I've just adored this main deck. Having access to, like, Jailer, Ballista, Prelate, and Spirit Keeper as bullets has felt like a really good mix. I'm also fine with going down to 1 Revoker. I felt a little weird about it at first, but it seems correct to me. I'm not 100% sure on the sideboard. Like, I've been going back and forth conceptually about whether or not I like Gideon or Cataclysm better. I've been leaning towards Gideon because, like, just having Gideon versus Death Shadow is great because it helps you to ignore Dread of Night and other similar effects. But, like, Cataclysm is just oftentimes, not always, oftentimes a better card versus Miracles and Grixis Control. Ooh. I don't really have an idea for the deck, actually. I mostly like D&T. Any way to make it chat's choice? Yeah, absolutely, Randy. How about we do a poll? So what has been suggested in the last couple of minutes? So yeah, I'm gonna run a straw poll. How about we do one of the like crazy things that's on my suggestion screen? So, on my suggestion screen, I had ninjas, waterfalls, zombardment, sylvan plug, and dead guy ale. Let's run those out as our options. Give me 1 second to make the poll. I haven't done this in a while. All right, so I do exclamation mark poll. Let's do 120 seconds. All right, so we have dead guy, waterfalls, plug, dead guy, waterfalls, plug, zombardment, and ninjas. All right, chat. You have 2 minutes. Choose your destiny. For anyone who doesn't know, Dead Guy Ale is black-white control. Waterfalls is 4-color cascade. Sylvan Plug is mono-green choke in the main deck, along with Chalice and Trinisphere. Zombardment is a sweet graveyard synergy deck. Blue-black ninjas uses the ninjutsu mechanic to return value creatures back to your hand. This is an exciting tail end of the stream. I like this. Again, options are Dead Guy, Waterfalls, Plug, Zombie, and Ninja. Ninjas. All I'm saying is that I have a wheelhouse, right? Like, there's a certain sort of thing that I tend to play. I play a lot of mid-rangey Stoneforge decks. The people love them. 15 seconds. The hype is real. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh man. So it looks like Waterfalls is our winner. I will add Waterfalls to the queue. Yeah, Waterfalls should be pretty amusing. I haven't played that deck, geez, in months and months and months. So that should be exciting. So Waterfalls is 4-color Cascade featuring both Bloodbraid Elf and Shardless Agent. The idea is that you create a waterfall. You cast a Bloodbraid Elf, and you go and you cascade into a Shardless Agent that cascades into something else. That's kind of the namesake interaction there. So the idea is to be this huge value-oriented deck. Even if it doesn't win, can we see the plug list? I don't have one handy. If you look at Romario's streams from a while back, he did have a lot of Sylvan Plug content. I think it was pre-PTA 25, though, so the deck list might be a little old at that point. Are you going to run that 4-color guy that gives everything Cascade? Probably not. Most of the time, the only Cascade cards that list plays are the Bloodbraids and the Shardlesses. Maelstrom Wanderer costs like 1,000,000,000 mana, right? That's like EDH All-Star, but otherwise unplayable. So I don't really think that's going to happen. All right, folks. So happy Halloween to all of you. I'm going to go ahead and turn in for the night, but I am going to turn you over to XJ Cloud, who is probably playing some Legacy D&T in preparation for Eternal Weekend. So thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and raid XJ Cloud, so let's spam the living crap out of his chat with emotes, especially the Thalia emote if you have that. Take care, everyone. Happy Halloween. Don't get sick from eating too much candy. Or do. Whatever. It's your life.